Hello and welcome. This is not a guide, this is simply an opinion piece. I'm going to talk about units I dislike using. If you've watched a lot of my runs, you may have noticed that there are some units that you'll see less often than others. And it's because I know that these units are good, but I don't like using them. And I'm going to explain why I don't like them. This doesn't mean that they're not good units. It doesn't mean that I never use them, and it doesn't mean that I can't use them. I just prefer not to use them because I can get the job done using something else that that commander has. This does not include these units, like the ones on the screen, because these, even though they're rarely used, I don't actually dislike using them when I have to. Does not include these units because these are units that most people don't like and no one really considers them good, so I'm not gonna include these either. So let's get started. For Raynor, I'm just not really a fan of P0 or P2, and especially Bio. I don't like Raynor's Bio because I don't like units that die really quickly. I know that Zagara also has a lot of sacrificial units, but it's kind of different, especially since P3 exists now. So actually, I don't spend a lot of time using Zagara's Lings or Banelings until the late game when the hero unit herself isn't good enough. I don't like using Raynor's Bio though, because I'm just like not really sure how much I need before I engage, and if I engage too soon, I lose too much. I especially don't like Bio and Mech because I don't like mixing vultures into the army. Adding Vikings with my Bio is okay, but like adding vultures is really kind of, I hate using it because it's kind of F2, but vultures have to be moved away, otherwise they get wasted by speeding in front to the front line. For P3, whenever I use it, I don't like using Banshees and Vikings. I just think battlecruisers are much better in most cases. For Abathur, I don't like using Ravagers. A lot of people like using them. They're very strong, and I know they're very strong. I just don't like using them. One of the main reasons why I don't like using them is because they have an ability that's not autocast. When mixed with Vipers, they mess up my hotkeys. So I don't like having to control two different groups of units with different hotkeys. It gets kind of confusing, and I just prefer not to. I also don't like Abathur's Mutas because they die really quickly and before they get a lot of biomass. I don't hate them, but I just like using Guardians more because Guardians, they shoot from a farther range and Leviathans will take most of the shots. So the Mutas, the Guardians don't die. Mutas, before they get enough biomass, they just keep dying and I don't like that. For Alarak, I don't like using Ascendants. They are just so weak before they get buffed. I know I can hold back and just like let them stay at home and just eat supplicants until they're actually ready to be used, but I don't like having to babysit them until they're actually strong enough. And before that, it's like every time I use them, I just end up with bad results, so I prefer to use Wrathwalkers. For Nova, I don't like using the Ghost's EMP. I still use the Ghost for the triple tap, but I never researched the EMP because it's an extra ability that I don't want to have to deal with. For Stukov, Queens are good. They have a great ability that kills high HP targets. They also have the Vision, the Detector symbiote, but I don't like using them because they have to be on a different hotkey or else they just fly ahead and get themselves killed, and it's not really helpful when I'm using F2. If I'm using like P3, I can use Queens. If I'm using nothing else but Queens in my army, that's fine. So I actually don't dislike them that much, but I really don't like mixing them with P1. For Han Horner, I don't like using Reapers. Similar to Raynor's Bio, they just die so fast, and I don't know like how many I should have. Of course, the answer is as many as possible, but it's just sometimes hard to gauge, and I don't like losing so many units in each fight. I also don't like using the Viking because I feel like whatever the Viking can do, the Battlecruiser or Wraith does better. The Viking can kill a lot of things when they're on the ground, but Han and Horner is not weak against ground. I'd rather just make Wraiths or Battlecruisers to fight air. For Zeratul, I don't like using the Ambushers because they are not invisible, so it's kind of like a extra control group that has to like blink around because the rest of Zeratul's army or Zeratul himself is invisible, and I don't have to really worry about detectors if they're dead, but the ambushers kind of have to. I don't hate them that much, but I'd most of the time I really prefer not to use them. And void arrays, I don't like using the void array because the auto unload feature, it's just really clunky to use, and I really don't like using it. Especially with P2 in the late game, I just like blink, 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 blink all the way back, and it's like sometimes just better than having to like find my void array. I know I can hotkey it, but I do it sometimes. I'm trying to use it more, but I just don't like it that much. And for Mengsk, I don't like unarmed troopers. That's why P3 is my favorite prestige. I just grab a bunch of troopers and just arm them all, and then they'll deal lots of DPS. I don't like using Sky Furies because they're just so fragile. You're seeing a common theme here. I don't like using Sky Furies because they're really fragile until they get like, I don't know what level buff because I don't use them enough, but until they get that upgrade, that level, they're just like, they just die so quickly, and I don't like that. I don't like using Emperor's Shadow, especially since I need another tech building that I rarely get. And they're just another unit that requires another hotkey to use their abilities. And I don't like using Black Hammers. They're extremely clunky to use. This is probably on me, but I probably don't fully understand what a Black Hammer can do that others can't do. I think in my 2000 something runs, I've used Black Hammers once, and I wasn't even sure why I used it, but I used it. And I feel like Black Hammers are pretty much useless because ESOs exist, and if you contaminate a strike, you just kill everything anyways, the air units, so there's really no need to make them, unless you're going for like a no ESO run. But anyways, that's it. These are the units that I don't like. What units do you dislike? Share them in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next time.